the things we put up with, right? Well, welcome to July team meeting, second July team meeting. We're gonna celebrate some people today. We'll talk about some quickly announcements. I told you my goal is to avoid having a slideshow of a bunch of events coming up. And there are a lot of events coming up that I think are very impactful that I want to make sure we talk about, even if it's brief. So we're going to do that. We've got a couple updates from Daniel and Jason, and then we will also, I've got a little bit of content for you. Yesterday, how many of you were here yesterday for the Legion Workshop Mastermind? A good many of you. We learned some really, I think there were about almost 20 of you here. So thank you for those of you that made it. It was a great conversation. I think we're going to do more conversations like that in the future around different topics and create some open dialogue. You can see our notes on the board over here. And yet there were some things that came up that you all said would be beneficial. So we're going to dive into some of that content today. Let's go. If I can get we're going to go straight to it. Last month, Katrina showed us what's up and stood up and gave us the Y4C2Ts. So who's in it today? There's a cute little stuffed buffalo, and there's a gift card up in the office waiting for you. Who's going to go for the Y4C2Ts today? Mike's not here to bail you out. He's on a cruise boat.
Have to stand.
Yep. Come on, Jamie.
Okay. Come on, Jamie. Okay, win-win or no deal.
Okay.
Integrity, always do the right thing.
Yep.
4 C's are, I don't know the order.
Who always comes?
Customers,
Customers always come first.
communication,
Okay. Yep. Seek first, understand.
creativity is the last one.
Yep. Creativity, ideas before results. In all things is the last part of it.
Wait. Communication.
Wedding. What do I make at a wedding?
Commitment.
Commitment in all things. Okay, so we got the 4 C's,
2 T's.
2 T's.
Trust. Teamwork,
Trust starts with
honesty.
teamwork.
Together we achieve more.
Everyone achieves more. Yeah. E,
Equity.
opportunities for
And success.
results through others. Nice work.
Okay.
All right, let's get a favorite in the room. Who's got a favorite Y4C2T and why? Cindy. I almost said, who are you? I thought I was in a bold room for a second. I was gonna have you stand up. Yes, you are.
It was a perfect week. I
It
was
was.
the first one to sign up.
You were.
I figured my 20th. So integrity, because what you do matters regardless of, it's about who I am. I had something happen I've never had happen before. Can I explain?
Sure.
So I've been doing this a long time, right? And sometimes you think you've said something or somebody's understood. And I had a buyer that basically told me I lied to her and told me that I did not tell her that the DD was refundable. Non-refundable, excuse me, non-refundable. And on my vacation in Punta Cana, she went off on me. I've never had that happen ever. Negative. Email, calling, it was horrendous. And I decided she wanted to terminate the contract, which we did. And she said, I want the seller to reimburse me the due diligence and the home inspection. I said, don't think about the home inspection. She said, well, and so I stepped up and said, I will refund your due diligence. It was $3,000. Now, I didn't like that she had basically called me out for not doing my job, which I know I did, but it didn't matter. Even though I knew I said it, she didn't know it, right? So sometimes we have to do things that hurts. And boy, when you do it that way, you really remember, don't you? Because once I had that, even though it was a lot of money, I mean, that would have paid for my vacation, well. And Greg didn't understand, and I just said, it's who I am, and I'm gonna do it, like, and of course, she terminated the agency with me the next day when she received money, but that's fine. It is what it is. but I just think the integrity of who I am and how I do my life and my business means more than anybody.
Thank you, Cindy.
People know that, by the way.
Thanks for sharing that. And I know when I was still practicing, I wrote a couple checks along the way, right? I bought a washer and dryer. I've bought home warranties, right? Those things happen from time to time, and I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing, Cindy. Let's jump into birthdays. So 5 birthdays this month. It is a light birthday month. Lester Triplett, Lorraine Parker, Shauna Toole, Chris Anderson, and Mark Laporta. Happy birthday. July work anniversaries. Several of you are celebrating anniversaries with KW this month. Sandy Fielding, Beth and Pete Glidewell, Ethiel Estes, Elvis Leon, Stephen Morrow, Stacy Coleman, Julianne Hall, Kashana Griffin, Jonathan Montrose, and Jennifer Garza. Congrats on your KW. Did you join in what month?
I got my license on July 18th.
So your anniversary would actually be August. Yeah, yeah. It's all good. It's weird math. And yes, Sarah.
Say something about what Cindy said. Whenever you have something happen like that, that's a really good opportunity for you to correct your process, right? And to fix something or put it in documentation. So make sure you take that as a learning opportunity.
Yep. Right, I mean, in that case, right, specifically with due diligence, right? How could you confirm that your client understood that, right? Think about those things in writing. Right.
Email, it was very difficult. She was older.
Yeah.
She basically refused to sign anything DocuSign after that.
Yeah, so. Fun stuff. July newcomers, Sharon Chaco has joined us. Has come over to KW, so, or over to our KW. We have more joining us now. We'll celebrate those the next time, the next office meeting. Let's jump into some bucket fills. Our rabbit friend is back. Those of you that weren't here 2 weeks ago, you missed the rabbit. Who's got some bucket fills in the room? Got him.
I got one.
Zach.
Just talking to some other agents, I wanted to bucket fill leadership, especially Jason for, doing all he's doing to inform us about all the NAR changes. Cause I talked to some agents and they are not getting the amount of information that we are. So,
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Jason. Yeah.
I'm still Jason's bucket too, because Jason's an awesome thing. And if y'all don't know, Jason's kind of funny. If you're having a rough day, I'm just saying, just talk to Jason because he'll say the right thing, but sometimes it's kind of snarky and I like it.
Oh, I love it. The snarkiness. I love it. Robbie.
I want to bucket for everybody in the room for being patient as we transition banks and then back to bank. Anyway, sorry for all of that. I know we had to go to paper checks. We're just about ready to start ACH again, but thank you all for your patience and not killing me or anything in the process.
Yep, we do appreciate that. We like our lives a little bit. Emily.
Bucket fill you, Andrew, for coming in and being an awesome team leader, getting us paid on time. And just being there to help us build our business, and the door is always there.
Thank
I've
you.
been here almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in November, and this is the first time I have felt like we had a team leader that was extremely approachable.
Thank you. A full team leader, not a dual role person. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Portia,
Yeah, you. Well, you know, Jason already bucket bill every day, but I appreciate Jason. I want to bucket bill Aisha for helping me out, with a lot of things. I'm just trying to get situated. She's a great teacher and instructor, so thank you for that. And I want to bucket bill Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah, yeah, my numbers and stuff, so I'm gonna book it for her too.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Portia. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Paulineer's bucket filling in the chat to Jason. Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Many of you realize what Jason does every day, and you probably only realize a quarter of what he does every day to support you all and make sure that you have the tools and systems and things you need in place to go out there and do what you do. So we do appreciate you. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you all. I've got one for Daniel. Y'all may not know, but my website and email got trapped and caught up in the whole fiasco with Microsoft and Google and everything else. And he spent almost 3 hours getting it back yesterday. To where I could answer your emails that they sent me. So Daniel, thank you.
Oh, love it. Awesome. All right. Oh, whoops. I need a lead-in slide. Top producers for the month of June. So we're going to recognize, as we started last month, the top 3 in every category. Last month was the first month we ended the month in our new system. So the reports were way off and we had to manually do this. So if your numbers are wrong, or you're not on the board and your numbers are higher than one of the numbers on the board, please let me know and we'll make it right. Yeah, I believe it's accurate. So single agents, 3rd top producer for the month of June, David Riley. 1.29 million. Nice work. 2nd top producer, Margaret McCann, 1.39 million. She's enjoying those results right now on a cruise boat with her family. And the solo agent top producer for the month of June, Tammy Curry at 2.66 million. Yeah, she had a great June. There was a really, really, really big one in there. Top producing teams, the Abbotts were 3rd top producing team. As a reminder, a team is a team of 2 producing agents. So most of our spouse teams in the office fall into this category. I think we might have 1 or 2 teams that are not spouse teams that fall into this bucket. It's 2 agents that are producing, meaning they're both writing contracts, or they're a spouse team. 2nd top producing team for the month of June, the Glidewells, 1.37 million. Congrats. And the top producing team for the month of June is the Rachel Z team, 1.96 million. So yeah, and she's on vacation in Colorado right now. So congratulations to Rachel and team. And top producing groups. So though the numbers might not make, or the names might not make sense, groups and teams we often think should be backwards. Classification team is a team of 2, group is a team or a group of 3 or more producing agents. 3rd top producing team for the month of June, the Melissa White team, 5,000. 2nd top producing group, the Judy Weinstock team at 2.79 million. I don't know. I love their photo and it looks like it's right out of the 80s, maybe like early 90s. Like the whole backdrop. I don't know, something about it. 3rd top producing group for the month of June was the Sandy Sparks sales team at 2.35 million. So there's technically still a group. Yep. That is Kurt Barlow, Holden Hayes, and Josh Adkins. Yep. So nice. All right, some upcoming events. We're going to go through these relatively quick because, again, I promised you that we wouldn't have very many of these. Weekly Tech Workshop this Wednesday at 2. Daniel's specifically going to focus. He'll talk a little bit more about this in his update, converting to the new websites. So there's over 100 of you that have not converted to your new KW website. If you haven't converted to it yet, you will be forced to convert on August 15th. We'd encourage you to not be forced and actually show up to one of the trainings. Daniel can help you with that. Tomorrow at 2, they'll be walking through that. There's also some trainings he'll talk about where you can get additional support on converting to your new website. And here are those dates. So you can also find all of these dates, I believe, on our calendar and our weekly emails, right? Yep. So command website training, these are done by corporate. These are listed. They're an hour long on how to convert your website. This is really important if you created custom content on the old website. So if you had custom pages, those pages will automatically be deleted and you won't be able to do anything with them. So you want to make sure you get in there now and be able to download and edit those as opposed to waiting. So I see faces. Talk to Daniel after the team meeting. He can help guide you in that process. They're going to talk more about this in a minute towards the end of the meeting. Are you prepared for compensation? That is this Thursday, July 25th, 2 to 3 in the training center. You do not want to miss this class. It will be via Zoom as well. Yes. It's on the calendar. There's a Zoom link. It'll also be in person. Jason and Karen will be leading that class. Come have the discussion about, are you prepared for what's about to go into effect? Right now, it's more than ever important that we're talking about our value, right? And how we properly execute these documents to make sure that you're protected as well.
Will that be recorded by chance?
Will it be recorded? Yes, it will be recorded. 2 classes that Aisha is leading. One of them, July 29th. This is your BIC update, game show style. There is a registration fee for this. There's also information about this on the KW Central website. So if you don't get the registration link today and you need it, Aisha, I believe that's $55. $55 for the BIC update. And there is a general broker update as well on August 2nd. From 9 to 1, 4-hour class. 6 personal perspectives. Karen's going to talk about this in a minute. Next Tuesday is the 5th one. Remove your limiting beliefs. How many of us maybe have some limiting beliefs around the current market and what we're about to go into, right? If we're honest with ourselves, we all probably have at least something, right? Great opportunity to begin to dive into those and talk about that. Hillsborough team meeting. For those of you that are in Mebane or Hillsborough and want to join us there next week, we'll be diving into some information more specific to the Hillsborough Mebane market. It'll be at the Holiday Inn in Hillsborough next Tuesday at 12. A survey seminar. This is not about how to create Google form surveys. Clarity is power. This is talking about property surveys, why they're important, when a buyer would want to or need to order one. Heritage Title will be leading that with breakfast on August 1st. Dialogues for dollars. How many of you would love some new conversations or some objection handlers for the things you're about to deal with the changes in the market? Yeah, right. Every Tuesday, Thursday, starting August 6th, Zoom only, 30 minutes, dialogue for dollars. All agents are welcome. You're going to get something that you can implement. This is not what you think. When you think script and role play practice, don't think dialogue for dollars. Think relevant to the market we're in, the things we're hearing, tools you need. We talked about this yesterday in our lead generation workshop. Many of you just need the right words to say, right? Oftentimes we don't like to pick up the phone because why? We don't know what to say or we feel value deficient, right?
An objection is not a no. It's a, I need more information.
That's right. It's a not yet, and I probably need more answers, right? There's questions left unanswered. So the coaching team, I believe, Karen, right? You and Mike running that? Yeah. Mike McCann and Karen Ward was special guests. So get ready for that. I'm teaching a Mastering the Buyer consultation August 8th from 10 to 12. That will be in person and probably via Zoom as well. That is not going to be how to execute buyer agency. That is how do we create a buyer consultation, right? What does the process look like? How do we take people through a pre-qualifying criteria before we set the appointment? We get the appointment and we can show our value before we actually show up to show the first house or to get the agency signed. This is everything leading up to getting that agency document signed. What's the value you're presenting? Navigating the IRS. All of us need some of that, right? August 13th, 11 to 12 in the training center. Our family day, this is a potluck from 4 to 7, Wednesday, August 21st. This is the day before we launch Bold. Oh, sorry, I didn't know there was a QR code there. I'm getting faces from the culture committee that I didn't sit on this slide long enough.
Which side of the marina?
We'll get more details out on that.
Wherever it was.
Kids, families, bring the whole family. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, isn't it still It's the Burlington.
It is part of Burlington Parks and Rec. We'll get details out about it. I don't have them today. We'll get them out to you. We'll send an email out specific to it with details of where it's located, what we need, signups for that, including potluck signups, so we can make sure not everybody brings mac and cheese, right? We'll work on that. How many of you have taken Bold before? Okay, a good many of you. How many of you are currently signed up to take Bold starting in 4 weeks? All right, another good many of you. So I've historically, most market centers, including this market center, have done a full Bold reimbursement, meaning that if you put 4 deals under contract during Bold, you would get reimbursed for that over time. Here's what's happened, right? Market centers cut their income because we cut caps to our agents several years ago, right? So you got a pay raise and we didn't decrease our expenses, right? So we had to go decrease our expenses. One of the expenses was the Bold reimbursement. So you won't be getting full Bold reimbursement. However, the first 20 people to register are getting half off, right? So first 20 people to register are getting half off. Currently, I think 12 of you have registered. So there are 8 spots left at half off. Don't wait. They will be gone. So normally Bold is $7.99. It makes it $3.99, right? So half off, it's an investment in your business. You take Bold and you get 1 deal because you took Bold, you're going to more than recoup the $3.99 you're going to spend to be in the Bold room. Jessie Willman is the Bold coach. She's out of Midland, Texas. She's worn multiple hats and is a phenomenal coach. She'll be joining us for those 7 weeks of Bold. I handpicked her to be our Bold coach because I believe in the Bold experience that much. Yes, I'm a Bold coach, and I don't want to be your Bold coach. You don't want me to be your Bold coach. I know too much about you. And we were assigned a Bold coach that would have been in October, and I really don't believe they were the right coach for us in our market. And so I was able to go and pick what Bold coach we got. We had to move it to August. And so I think Jessie's really going to bring some amazing content to you. Bold is in the process of being rewritten. And I say that lightly, in that you're going to get sprinkles of it throughout this content of new content. We're getting new updates every week right now. And so I'm really excited about what's happening with Bold. And it's really, they're working on dropping things in to be relevant to the market at the moment. So I'm going to pass around Bold sign up forms for First Step, right? So even if you don't register for full Bold today, I would encourage you to come to First Step. It's free, right? Take the first step. I'm not asking you to sign up. I'm asking you to take First Step. It's free. Get a free lunch, and I promise you, you'll walk away with something to impact your business. So I'm going to pass these around. All you have to do is write your name and not even email down, honestly, just name, and Rivers will get you registered. If you're already registered for full Bold, you don't need to do it. First Step is August 22nd, 9 to 2:30 in the Market Center Training Center. So it'll be here. You don't have to drive anywhere. We don't have to drive to Greensboro or Durham. It's here in the Market Center, August 22nd. So show up to First Step, sign up to that. Show up and support Jessie and show up for your Market Center. And I'm asking you selfishly to show up for me. Let's show them what we can do and how we can pack a room for specifically First Step and hopefully full Bold as well.
Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
Repeat that date, please.
August 22nd.
Thank you. It's a third, these are all.
It's
Thursdays.
every Thursday, August 22nd through October 3rd. There's no skip week. August 22nd to October 3rd. All right. let's keep moving. If you have bold questions, I'll be happy to answer them after the team meeting. NAR settlement updates, you can access. You can access NAR settlement updates from corporate on Connect. You can also download the guide via this QR code. See some phones up. Remember, these are national updates. There are local guidelines as well. Jason will be talking about some of those on Thursday and continuing to talk about them in updates from Jason. Oh, there you go.
You know, my phone.
KW Podcast Network. I'm gonna repeat this until the day Jesus calls us home. These are so good, y'all. Every week is a different lead gen tool. Any podcast platform you use, you can access them. Phenomenal content. Still see phones. Good. Okay. Remember, opportunity for you to grow your profit share downline. We passed a really amazing milestone in KW last month. We've now shared over $2 billion in profit share back with our agents. So if you have an opportunity to build your profit share through K-Score, get people into real estate school and help them come to KW and build your profit share that way. How many of you have received profit share in the room of some level? Right? Many of you, right? Opportunity to build that. Would love to see that. All right. I promised you content. And yesterday, in this lead gen workshop that we had, we were talking through all the things that are working really well. And a lot of people had some things that were working really well for their businesses. Their Sphere, golden letters for commercial deals, referrals, farming, social media. And then we had these tools that weren't working so well. And I said, well, what's not working well in lead gen? And the room got, those of you in the room can attest to this, it got real quiet. And we just sat in the quiet for a minute and waited. And I was like, okay. So we sat there and then I moved on. I said, well, what do you want to learn? And then all of a sudden people started talking. And what we realized is what's not going well it's not a lead gen thing for the most part. It's that we're not doing it. It's discipline. It's time blocking. It's implementation. And so what we ultimately learned is we know what to say and we know what to do. The problem is we're not doing it. How many of you keep a calendar? Right? Most of you pulled out a phone and started putting dates on something, right? Or you started taking notes and writing things down. And yet, how many of us, and I'm going to be the first to admit it, I love to put things on my calendar, particularly things that are appointments with myself.
Vacation.
And they don't happen. Right? So part of that is accountability, right? So one of my things right now is that I'm in the MCA office until 10 o'clock every day, and then I'm supposed to go to my team leader office and do team leader things. Megan has just said false. And in order for me to end up down in my office, what if I have to implement? Some level of accountability, right? I've got to time block it, and then I have to implement and follow through with it. So now, as Robbie breaks the table, he's okay, everybody's okay. Karen, every morning now on our morning leadership huddle, Karen says, I'm going to see you at 10. Right? For those of you that don't know, my office door faces Karen's office door. And she's looking for me at 10 every morning. And if I'm not in my team leader office, Karen's face shows up in the MCA window. Like, where are you? Let's go. Right? So part of it is about accountability. So we resoundingly, 20 people in the room, pretty much agreed that our problem is not the lead gen method. It's the time blocking and then implementation of the time blocking. So what I would like to do is walk us through some time and self-management tools, some practices, some things to think about in how we implement and do it. I'm going to put Cindy on the spot here. I'm not going to have her talk. Cindy lead generates every day. Should we all lead generate every day? Yes. Cindy, how many people have you committed to connecting with every day?
This week it's 50 a day.
50 a day. So does it sound like Cindy's doubling down on her lead gen,
That's
right?
plus 75.
Okay, so she's down from 75 to 50. Now, every one of you, now here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that everyone in the room needs to have a goal of 50 a day. But whatever your goal is should be challenging. Right? Is 5 a day enough? Probably not. I'm pretty sure all of your goals are way bigger than what 5 a day will give you. We have to be making contacts at a double or triple rate what we're used to making because of the current market. For Cindy, it takes 100 to get one appointment,
That's what it counts.
100 connections.
100 connections technically. Sometimes I'm better, but not every day.
Right.
With 50, do I get an appointment?
So we have to know our stats and then we have to time block for it, right? And then we have to follow through with the time block. We have to put it on the calendar. So Cindy has now created an accountability piece and that she has an admin. So she has a financial accountability one, right? She needs to make sure she has enough business to keep them in business. And do you think Megan's going to make her go down and lead generate every day? Like she just said, absolutely. Right? So some of us, and we're going to talk about this, have to create a space where we remove distraction. So for Cindy, that's going down to one of the little call booths that often go unused. There's 3 of them, right? I almost want to say I'll build more if you use them. Robbie shook his head yes. So, and yet she's down there every day until she hits her 50, right? And she has an office, but her office is full of distractions. So in order to achieve an extraordinary result, you must choose what matters most and give it all the time it demands. Right? Do we set goals? Are our goals big enough? Right? And then in order to achieve them, right, we have to choose what matters most. How many of you have a big why? Hopefully all of you have something that gets you out of bed every day.
Why?
Right? Like you have something that causes you to go work, right? At a certain level. Yet there are many of us that maybe our big why is not big enough because it's not driving us to get out of bed. Right? What's the thing that makes us get up and say, I'm going to go sell a house today. I'm going to go find a listing today because this is what I'm going to do. Because this is my life by design. Because this is what I want to achieve. Does that resonate? Right? Like we have to have something that motivates us every day, whatever that is for you. Is it giving away money? Is it making more money? Is it retiring in 5 years? Right? What is your thing? Right? Is it putting kids through college? Is it putting the pool in the backyard you've always wanted? Right? What's the thing that's driving you every day to make you go do this? So when we start thinking about our big why, and then that plays into how we time block. Now, is it easier to do the little things or the big things? The little things, right? How many of us love a to-do list? Right? We've got our list of all the things we need to do. And on that list, what do we typically do first? All the easy things, right? We do everything else. Right? And then we get to 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the day and we go, well, I finished all the little things.
Most of it.
And it feels like we accomplished a lot, but when we really look at it, did we do the right thing or the one thing? Right? Then we're left with this compressed amount of time at the end of the day to go, oh, I only have an hour left to make 50 connections.
I worked on Friday afternoon till nobody was here.
Right. So when we reorient our day and we say, you know what? I'm going to start my day with my one thing. Because let's be honest, all the little things on our list, are they that important? Most of them aren't. Most of them are filler, right? if that to make us feel good. And if they don't happen, is the world going to fall apart? No. And we're all going to have one of those days every now and then, right? It's going to happen. And yet, when we do our one thing first, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary, right? One of the key phrases from the One Thing book, right? What's the one thing I have to do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So if we have a lot of days that are typical days that look like us on the left, and we choose to engage in the pleasure of checking off the easy things, after week after week after week, what's going to happen? We're going to have no business left, particularly in the market we're in right now. Do you all realize sales are down 30 to 40% across the nation? I said it yesterday in the room. Gary says, what you gain in a market shift, you'll never lose. What you gain in market share in a shift, you'll never lose. What you lose in a market shift, you'll never regain. If you closed 10 deals last year and you're doing the same exact type of business that you did last year and nothing has changed, how many deals do you think you're going to close this year? 5 to 6, not enough. Right? We have to change what we're doing in order to achieve things. And it could be as simple as reorienting our day. Because at the end of the day, when I got my one thing done, how do I feel? Way better than checking off all the little things. The little things are going to be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Your one thing is most important. Start your day as a productive day and get your one thing done, and then everything else falls into place. Because guess what? You're going to have days where your one thing happens real fast. Because your one thing might be, I have to set 2 appointments. I get to set 2 appointments. Right? I set my 2 appointments. I might set those in an hour. It might take me 8 hours. But on the days it takes me an hour, I've now got 7 hours to get all the little things done. So as we think about these things, here's some questions to ask yourself. As we define what is our one thing. What is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or necessary? We've talked about that one. Some of you might need to say, what am I not going to do? Some of you need to say, what am I going to choose to have happen today? Can we choose our way? Yeah. Right? We make choices every day, whether we realize it or not. Yet, what we often don't think about, because it happens in the subconscious mind, what percentage of decisions do you think are made in the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind? I hear a lot. 70%. It's over 83%. Over 83% of your everyday decisions are made in the unconscious mind. Yeah, it's just done, right? How many of you got in the car and you drove here and you don't even remember some of the things you drove past? It's a little scary to think about, right? And yet it was a decision made, right? You're breathing. Your body is making a decision to breathe. I heard it, thank God. Right? Yet we have to bring a lot more things, our decisions and our daily routines into our conscious mind to make decisions. Because if not, we will go on autopilot. And before you know it, you'll get to 3 or 4 o'clock and your one thing hasn't been started. Because our brains are wired, because we've wired them that way and society has wired them that way, to check off the easy things first. Right? We have to rewire our brains. Some of you might need to ask, what are the 5 high impact conversations I'm going to have today? Or where's my best opportunity to secure a listing? If you know you have a lot to do today and you have a limited amount of time to secure your one thing, maybe you need to think about the conversations you're having. Who can I call that's likely to refer me to a listing? Don't play roulette with your phone. How many of you ever played lead gen roulette? Aisha's like, maybe. Right? Like, I've done it, right? You take out your phone and you just go, Oh, I'm gonna call this person, right? Wherever it lands. Right? Have a plan, have a system in place. As we think about our to-do list, right? All those things, the could do, should do, could do, should do, could do, could do, right? There's a lot of things we could do, and there's a lot of things we should do. And yet we often do the could do's before the should do's. And then even within the should do's, is there something that's probably more important than the others? Right? So we take our to-do list and we narrow it down and we go, okay, these are all the things that I need to get done or want to get done. If you're that list person, make the list. I used to use the Franklin, I think it was the Franklin Covey method, where you go in and you write down your list and then you rank them all, A, B, or C. Right? A's are have to be done today, B's are have to be done this week, C's are have to be done sometime. Rivers and I did this yesterday in a different method with a bunch of things that need to get done with Post-it notes on a bulletin board. If y'all don't know me, you know I love Post-it notes. I go through too many of them. And it works. Then you go back into your A's and you say, okay, A's have to be done today. Now I'm going to prioritize my A's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which ones, what order do they have to happen in? And then if I accomplish all my A's, I get to work into the B's and then into the C's, right? Follow the same methodology. This is a similar method, right? We take our to-do list and we turn it into a success list. Because if we do those things, right, who knows the 80-20 principle? What is it? 80%, right? 20% of the work produces 80% of the results, right? 80% of the results come from 20% of the work, right? When we do our one thing first, we're going to get the majority of the business that we need. So then we get into the practicalities of time blocking on a larger scale. That's a daily basis, right? What's the things I have to get done today? Yet we time block on a calendar, right? At minimum of weekly. You should be doing it a minimum of a week ahead. If you're following the 4-1-1 model, right? Every week you're revisiting your calendar. What's the first thing that should go on your calendar? Your vacation time, right? Your time for you. The James Shaw method, take off 1 day a week, a long weekend every month, and 7 days every quarter. It might have come from Gary. I heard it through James Shaw. And yet it's 1 day a week for you, a long weekend a month, and 7 days a quarter, right? Block that time first. Then what do we block next? I haven't heard it yet. What was it? So yeah, family, we've got our family time, our vacation time, all of that. What's next?
Time for you.
What was it?
Time for you.
Nope, that's all in the family time.
Mega camp and family reunion.
There we go, Chris. Training. It's not just specifically a plug for Mega Camp and Family Reunion. It's training in general, right? I'm going to go in and look at what are the trainings that I want to go to over the next year, and where do I block that time? What are we going to be left with? The number of days we have left to work on our business. Some of you are going to take 3 months off every year. Good for you. That leaves you with 9 months left in the year to hit your goal. So do you think that changes how many phone calls you need to make every day? Or how many people you need to talk to every day? Right? That's why we block those things first. Then we time block our one thing appropriately. So once we've time blocked our time, we have our Legion time set aside, we have to battle distraction. Are we more distracted than we've ever been? We almost all, if not all of you, have one of these. Right? The ding, the buzz, if you have the watch, right, that goes right behind it. So we have to battle distraction. We have to build the bunker. What is a bunker? Protection, right? Old school bunker, Cold War era bunker.
Nothing gets in.
Nothing gets in and nothing gets out. Once it's locked, right? You're in it. What was in a bunker? everything I needed to survive, right? So when I think about a bunker, right, it's a space that I can be free of distraction and I have everything I'm going to need. So if you're one of those people that needs 3 Stanley cups and your shaker bottle from your protein shake, and one of them has to have extra cold ice water in it, some of you are feeling seen right now, right? You have to have them all, right? And we have those in our bunker so that we don't have to leave the room, right? I always said if I had a perfect bunker, it would have a bathroom in it too. And then we sweep for minds, right? What are the things that could get in our way? And we enlist support. We talked about this, right? Who's the person that's going to hold you accountable to stay in the bunker and do the thing you said you were going to do? Now we've time blocked for our lead generation. We've built our bunker. We're moving our business forward. And now we have to actually lead generate. Everybody's lead generation time is going to look different. Some of you could get it done in an hour. Some of you are going to take 8 hours. It's going to change on the day. It's going to change depending on how many people answer the phone. There's so many varied factors. Yet, is all of that time just spent on the phone or sending emails or text messages?
No.
No. It's also preparing, right? It's prepping the list. Who am I going to talk to? Why am I going to talk to those people? I'm then taking the action. I'm calling them. I'm making the notes in a way that's not going to provide distraction. Y'all, I love command and I love technology. However, if I do my notes as I make my calls in the platform, what am I going to do? I'm going to be distracted. I'm going to see something missing or broken. I'm going to go chase that rabbit. And the story in the one thing, if I chase 2 rabbits, I'll catch neither one. Right? My rabbit is lead gen, not fixing the problem over here. So I have a list of people and I make manual notes on the list, and those notes get updated and maintained by my assistant so that I avoid the distraction. Some of you are going to go in and update those later. We time block for that if we don't let it interrupt our lead gen. So we prepare, we take action, we maintain. Sarah.
We have a class on how to use an assistant.
A class on how to use an assistant. Karen, can we put that together? Karen and I both have VAs that we use, and we'll definitely, we'll work on that. Yes, we'll make that happen. Any ahas or things you took from time and self-management that you will go implement in your business? And the reason I did it in this room is because every one of you, not every one of you, a lot of you have asked for this content. And I know if I put it on the calendar, none of you would have shown up. So I took the moment of a captive audience to give you this content. And what did you just learn in that 20 minutes? What's something you can take away from today and implement in your business?
Shoot the squirrel.
Shoot the squirrel. I don't remember those words, and I love that. That is totally going in my material. Cindy.
So I would suggest starting out with maybe some smaller numbers to hit your goal and build up. That does help. I mean, my numbers, I've been doing this for what, 3 months, 2 or 3 months now?
2 or 3 months now, yeah.
So it starts small and you feel the energy because it does seem boring and it can be. But if you do that small, you'll have good success and then build on that.
Yep. It's a muscle, right?
Yeah.
How many of us could go out tomorrow and run a marathon? A couple of you. A couple of you could, right? Yet those of you that raised your hands, have you been training for that? At some point in your life, you've trained for that to set your body up for the success in doing it. Most of us couldn't do it. Right? And if we went out tomorrow and tried to run 26.2 miles, we'd probably fail. Yet if I said, hey, I want you to go walk a mile, could all of you, almost all of you, go walk a mile today? Someone said not in this heat. So if I give you a treadmill and air conditioning, you could go walk a mile, right? So here's the thing, everybody's training plan is going to be different. And you have to start with where you're at. Do what you've always done, get what you've always gotten. We have to start increasing the weight. If you're used to making 10 calls a day, make it 15. If you're used to 50, make it 100. Right? I'm just saying that because it's you, Cindy. Right, like take the number and start increasing it because it's gonna take that to get through the shift that we're in the middle of. Gary has said we're in the middle of winter and it's not ending anytime soon. The days of leads just dropping in your lap and closing tomorrow are not here anymore. And if you know that secret, come talk to me and we'll make millions. Right? Let's make it happen. You're good. All right. Any other ahas for that? One more and then I'm done. I'm going to shut up and quit talking and give it to Jason and Karen. Cindy.
I had a top producer come in my office yesterday and said, this is hard.
Mm.
It was so much easier. I've never had the lead gen before. And she said, it's a buyer's market. And I went, no, it's a seller's market, 2 months of supply.
Mhm.
I said, you just have to go out and you have to work. It's been easy for a lot of agents for a long time. Just thought
Yep.
I'd put that out.
Yep. Yep. All right. One more aha in the room. Then you get rid of me. No, nothing else. Nobody took anything else away. Shay's shooting squirrels. Tara.
I like the notes on paper and then put it into command.
Mm.
That never thought of because I do the same thing you do. I'll see something and then something else grab my
Yep.
attention. And then I have to shoot a squirrel and, you know.
Yep.
I never shoot a squirrel.
Love
I like it.
it. I love it. All right. I'm going to give it to Karen for a quick coaching update and then to Jason and then we'll wrap up and be done. Oh, what? Yeah, Jason will take care of vendor. Yes,
So
that's what I meant.
one thing that I will add on lead generation on Prepare. I think that is that's one place that people get caught up. It's like, okay, I have it on my calendar. It's blocked from 9 to 11 or whatever the time frame is. And at 9 o'clock, you sit down and you say, oh, who's I going to call? So now that prep time is actually eating into what should be your lead generation and call time. So prep, know when you sit your rear down and start to make phone calls exactly who you're going to call. Whether it is print off your DTD2 the day before to prep for this is what my lead gen is going to look like tomorrow, or those for sale by owner list, or the expireds, pull expireds before you sit down to make phone calls. So that's part of the prepare. Don't fool yourself into thinking that if I spend the first hour of lead gen preparing, that I'm going to get 2 full hours of lead gen. So that's just my tip on prepare. The other thing really that I just want to make sure that you guys have on your calendar, make sure that you're attending is Tuesday, next Tuesday, right here, 9 o'clock. Is the 5th of the 6 personal perspectives, remove your limiting beliefs, as Andrew mentioned. So I saw a few hands, several hands actually, of folks that need to have some limiting beliefs removed. So I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. The other is Jason and I next Thursday. I'm sorry, this Thursday. Yes, this Thursday. We'll be doing a just kind of an open forum conversational arena to talk about how
how do we need to change our conversations? How do our conversations need to be different? Whether it's from the buyer agency standpoint in talking about compensation, whether it's from the listing appointment standpoint when we're talking about compensation. And then how do I need to have those conversations with other agents to make sure that I get paid? And what does that look like? What form do I use and when do I use it and when do I send it and where do I send it? And all of those sorts of things, because we've just, Jason and I both have heard a lot of talk. And so I think it's just a good opportunity for us to sit down and, you know, Valerie may say, well, this is how I'm gonna approach the conversation. And so you may get something from Valerie that's like, oh, that's a good idea. So this is not it's not a right or wrong, because even the Real Estate Commission has said there's not a right or wrong. This is just an opportunity for great minds to get together and be successful together. So that's on Thursday at 2:00. See you there.
Hey, so if you would email myself or Karen if you've got specific questions about that stuff prior to, so we know that that gets answered during the session. So we'll definitely cover several of the forms and boxes and that kind of checklist stuff. Yes, it will be. So two things before we get into my slides. Inventory for North Carolina is up 46% year over year. Are y'all feeling that? Are we seeing lots more negotiations, prices, repairs, all those kinds of things, right? So that is not the same environment that we have been in or were in. And like much of what we have said earlier, you've got to hone those muscles again. You've got to get back out there and do those things again that are real estate related as a realtor as part of your value add for the compensation you get. Because that's what Jason Abrams said. Compensation is something you give for something you get, right? Compensation, you get compensation for something you give. So the other thing is is Josh Atkins in here? I don't think he is. And he knows I'm using this example. He called me leaving a listing appointment. He's like, Jason, and it was like 8:30 and Josh is not one to call me on the regular. So meanwhile, something's going off right now. He calls and is like, I just left a listing and I've got a gut feeling I don't feel good. Like something wasn't right. And I don't know what to do with that feeling. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's unpack it. What is it? And he said, well, he described that, you know, the seller was an older person. It was a referral from a program he's a part of. So it was somewhat of a cold call listing, showing up at the house, do a walkthrough consultation. And he said it was an older gentleman and he felt as if almost it was a senior, like the folks in the house, there was two younger folks than the actual owner. And he felt like maybe it was they were taking advantage of the owner, like maybe it was an elder abuse situation. He was so unnerved, he didn't know what to call it, like what to, I don't know what to do with this. And that made sense to me as he was talking. And he said, I met the one, he walked me through the house, but not the owner of the house. And then we got back to a bedroom and all of a sudden there was another person in the bedroom that I wasn't even expecting to even be there. And he's like, the house wasn't anywhere near ready for me to show. I mean, it was, like they hadn't swept, much less actually cleaned. And he said, I just don't know what to do. And I was like, well, Josh, do you feel like it's a welfare check? Like we need to call the, police and just have them do a welfare check. And he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, I feel like I'm opening up a can of worms. And if y'all know Josh, that's very much his personality. And I said, well, did you run it through Forewarn before you went over? And he's like, no, Forewarn. And he's like, oh, Forewarn. I wasn't even thinking. Well, I happened to be at my desk and it was 8:30 at night, still at my desk, right up there. And so it's free with your Triangle membership. That's one of your benefits. It's on your dashboard. Yes. Y'all let me tell this testimony. Hey, there's that snarky. So I said, well, what's the phone number? And he's like, I typed it in. The homeowner, y'all ready? 74 criminal charges. The homeowner. Lo and behold, the second gentleman that took him through the house, that was the younger one, younger, he was 50. The older, the younger, the homeowner had a Vietnam vet hat on. So he told me that. He's like, clearly he was like an older guy. And that person had 244 criminal charges. So see, that was Sarah. What types of charges? Let me get so y'all, I'm just telling you, be safe out there. And if you don't have forewarn, I want to talk about, that's not what I came to talk about. I need to give you those two things. Inventory's up. Forewarn is a free resource. There's a reason your gut goes off. It's something that don't add up. It's not making sense. Forewarn is just a tool. It's not the answer. It is a tool that you might make an educated decision about. This particular person had trafficking across state lines. They had cocaine. They had evading arrest. They had shoplifting. They had, it was, on and on and on, all the way back to the 80s. But again, so that was just one scenario. That's very extreme. But gosh, he would have never known that had I not typed in 10 digits on an app, right? So no, you can look them up by name. You can look up different ways. Yeah.
I
So
had one, Jason, it's a mother and son, and I sold a couple things for them. And when I put the mother's old phone number in 122,
yeah.
and then that's my MIA.
Yeah, and you have to look, it might be, worthless checks and, you don't know. It might be, speeding ticket. It could be anything. I looked up my own number. There's rules around what you can look up. You can't just be looking up other agents to get the dirt on somebody or stuff like that. That's not how that tool is supposed to be used, because you all passed a background check to get your license. So don't be doing that crap. All right. Slides. So forewarn, if you're not using it, see me and I can get you set up. So what do I put in that box? This is probably bubbled up as like one of the top things, like, oh my God, what do I put in that box? Where did that box come from? The compensation boxes did not change on the listing agreement and did not change on the buyer agency agreement. So what did you put in the box before? The price the firm charges, right? If you're in dual agency for the firm, what do you put in the box? The same three numbers that were there before August 17th. That's not changed. So I lead with coming to a session near you on Thursday. All these types of answers. The compensation did not change. That box, literally the verbiage, the bullet, the blank, it did not change. It's still there. So you don't put anything different in there than you did before, except for it has to be a numerical number. Like I had you add as stated in MLS because that's what I was told from legal. And now we can't put in a variation. I was on this will be my third Zoom today about this stuff, y'all. I'm like drowning in it at this point. I've got two more after this. I had one this morning. A blank box, and I had an aha myself. A blank box on any of these forms are negotiable items. Think about that. Compensation's negotiable. Dates are negotiable. Price is negotiable. Like what is not pre-filled?
Always told, if it's a blank on the form, you put none or
But-
nothing.
Yeah, but the reason the blank is there to start with, it's that item number is negotiable. So, and that's what they're saying in NAR and NCR is, you shouldn't go to an appointment with a box pre-filled. You fill it on site because that box is negotiable if they hire you. Now, some of you may have set numbers that your numbers, and then they choose not to hire you. You shouldn't show up with pre-filled boxes because those boxes are negotiable. And again, so the KW Central is 10.65. You can vary within 1 percentage point if it's dual. And then if you're doing the agency part, it's half of that. So 5, 3, 2.5. So if the offering is different, here's another big fat change. And this is where agents are freaking out a lot is if it's different, because we just accepted what was in there, well, it's no longer in there, right? If it's different, your client has to say, yes, it's okay, you can accept something different. So that's one of the biggest changes too. They have to say, okay. So there's a form for that. It's update your page in the agency that talks about those numbers, or a 715 or a 710. So it's fine to accept something different. If your client agrees, update page 4 of 17 or whatever it is, and so R715, R710. The other one, 715, there's a form, anything you've gotten signed prior to these changes, that just brings everything up to date. It says, hey, there are changes, client, as of July 1st. This form is only going to be good until the end of December. So it's going to go away because it only brings the existing clients out there up to date. So once you bring everybody up to date, then you don't need that form anymore. So just know that form's changing. So next. Hey, so forms, MLS dates, questions, and whatever else y'all asked me in the last week. PSD. Let me just say this. I had a slide maybe 2 months ago that said your PSD is giving me PTSD. Does a seller hire professionals? Always. They hire you. They hire an attorney to close the transaction, right? Somebody, it's not, they don't do it on their own, right? Does a buyer hire professionals? More than the seller, often. Where's the central location of those people that they chose to hire? On the PSD. If you offer them 3 options for a home inspector and they choose one of them and they call you 2.5 years from now and say, Jamie, who was my home inspector on Main Street? Jamie's fell off the face of the earth, and they call KW and say, I can't find Jamie. I need to know who my home inspector was on Main Street. Where do I find it? Right? I'm giving you tools to help you protect you and the firm. Land, you don't hire as many. What if a seller hire you in heavy negotiations and you hire somebody to clean a crawl space? Is it Carolina basement or Tar Heel basement? They're both Carolina Tar Heels, but right? Oh, y'all with me? So that's why we're putting PSD, why you would have one is to protect you, one, and say, remember, you hired Carolina Tar Heel to clean your basement. And you chose them. And that's where that form is. So, so yes, that's why you have the form. And that's why they sign off. That's who they chose from. And then that's where it lives, is in your transaction. So, couple of dates. Triad is changing some things on August 1st. So compensation is being moved out earlier than Triangle. Theirs is not going out until August 6th. I just got off the hour and a half this morning with Canopy, and they're changing theirs August 17th. So North Carolina Regionals at 2 o'clock, and I'll tell you what theirs is later on. But MLSs are just like firms. They all have their own rules, right? So they can change whenever they want to change as a group. You as an agent that subscribe have to abide by all of them. So you need to know when they are. Go ahead and use the new forms now. Don't wait. There's a reason that those forms are even better than the ones we had on 629 because they cover you and you're more protected than you were on June 30th. So compliance is not always Jason. I get nasty little notes that say, I told you already, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't, that my name was there. It said, Jason Scott. I need to look at, I've got to refer back to what, if there's more than one people looking at compliance. So I can almost always answer it, and almost always there's a comment about why or where or how. And that's how I can answer you so quickly. It's not always just me that I've not sat there and looked at your file front to close, the A to Z. So appointments and consultations. I'm excited to see that there's going to be a buyer consultation. We need to get back to those because remember, listing agents were putting a driveway picture. Some of you weren't even putting signs in the yard. It was coming soon. There were 43 cars lined up that started the showings today. And there was an offer before they even coming out of soon, right? We have to be agents again. So back to buyer consultations where you actually explain, and that's what NAR has a problem with, or the lawsuit has a problem with, is we weren't explaining compensation. They did not understand that the money was coming from here to pay this one to cover that one. So that's where all this stems from, is not having consultation and appointments that your clients would understand. And then knowing how to articulate your value. Value Squared is coming up in the fall for us. That's something Karen and I worked out the education calendar all the way to October already, and we got 2 more classes in the fourth quarter. But knowing having those conversations on the start on Tuesdays and Thursdays. What do I say when? What do I say? What do I say? What do I say? Are you listening to answer? Are you listening to speak? Are you listening to answer their question? Or are you listening to say something? Knowing how to articulate your value, why your compensation is what it is. Where does that come from? What does this compensation cover? What happens if it's 2.5 and I wrote 3 on that sheet? Like, then that means that other 0.5% comes from you unless we agree differently. Like those conversations, you need to be, if your presentation skill set is honed in and at a high level, they don't start questioning. When you start and like and how and maybe and let me check, that's when they're like, wait a second, who am I hired? They start ghosting you for appointments, right? So knowing how to articulate your value. So otherwise, email me your questions so Karen and I are prepared for those, so we don't waste your time at all on Thursday's class or Thursday's session. I would think you would want to be prepared for compensation. And that being said, last but certainly not least, thank you to our sponsor. Legal Hotline's always out there. They're a great resource and we love them. Our great sponsor is Tim Stratton.
Thank you for having me. My name is Tim Stratton with Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in residential mortgages. John had to leave. John Ortiz, he's also in our office. I know a few of you guys have met him. If you haven't, reach out. I want to talk about a few things here. Just kind of expand on what Andrew and everyone else was talking about. If you, in the last 4 years, it's been one big roller coaster for us. If you haven't been in the market longer than that, then you wouldn't know that, but I've been in it since 1999. And in the last 4 years, we've never seen anything like this. So we're back to where we need to get creative. I know you guys are talking about making more phone calls, things like that. But as a lender, we're trying to be a little more creative also. So some of the things we'll do, I'll go down the basics real quick first. First of all, we can do VA 100% loans. We can do USDA 100% loans. So a lot of people don't realize there's a ton of USDA eligible houses around here, especially like in Mebane, Graham, and areas like that. All that area is almost USDA eligible. If you have any questions about it, just send me a address and I'll look it up for you if need be. As far as FHA, we can do FHA as well. We can go as low as a 580 credit score on that. On VA, we can go as low as 580 also. But some of the unique things that we're doing right now is we're seeing a lot more renovation loans. So if you have a house that you are listing or you want someone to purchase and you want to do a renovation loan, we have VA, FHA, and conventional renovations. They're all types of different, yeah, go ahead, Christie. They're a little bit higher, probably about a half point. Nothing crazy, but half point. And then also we do renovation loans. We're doing some what we call non-traditional. Right now I have a loan going, it's an $800,000 loan. The guy makes a fair amount of money. He claims zero. I actually claimed a $300,000 loss. So, but what we're doing is he has a significant amount coming in bank statements. So we're using the bank statements, averaging out the income, and that's the income we're using for them. We also have 1099 programs like that that are very helpful too for self-employed. I mean, it would benefit like pretty much all the realtors in here. That's how you guys are all paid with the 1099s, or you go off of your deposits into your checking account. So that's, yeah, go ahead, Pete. We only do 1 year, 12 months. You can do 24. You're going to do whichever's beneficial to you. Okay. If it's 12 months, you've made more money. Say you started a company 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, that 1 year you were just building. So we'll just go 12 months. It just, whatever one's going to be more beneficial is the way we're going to go. Okay. So that's out there now. So another thing that I want to talk to people about who have listings. Obviously, like Andrew was saying, there's more negotiations. And I've done this for a few people in here, including Pete and Beth. If you have a listing that's been on the market for a while and you're thinking about dropping the rate, or I'm dropping the amount, or putting in some seller concessions or something like that, before you do that, get with me and let's look at a 2-1 buy down. I know you guys have been hearing a lot about the 2-1 buy downs for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm seeing more and more uptick in that because here's the thing. If you're going to offer a buyer, say $10,000 for seller concessions, you're better off to offer them 2-1 buy down. And for those that you don't know, I'll just do basic math. If the rate is at 7% for that first year, you subtract 2. That's the 2. So now their payment is based on 5% for that first year. In the second year, you subtract 1. So now it's based on 6% for that second year. And then the third year goes back to up to 7. The goal is to refinance within those first 2 years when the rates come down. So that's what it is. And that would be more beneficial for a buyer than actually giving them seller concessions. Because seller concessions, you can buy the rate down, but we're only allowed to buy the rate down 3 points. And it's not point for point. It's not like you go from 7 to 4. It's literally, it can be as much as low as a quarter, as much as a half. So it's way more beneficial to do a 2-1 buy down if you have any listings like that. Some of the deals that we're able to do that now places haven't not able to. John had to leave, like I said, but he did a deal last month. It was a VA deal, and now veterans don't have to put money down, but if they have a low credit score, it can help. So we had a VA deal, 530 credit score. He put 15% down. We were able to get him a deal, and it was a $600,000 house that no one else was able to do. I just closed one 2 weeks ago, a similar situation. They were buying a house. The builder ran it through 2 of their lenders. They turned them both down. The guy had a 580 credit score. I did a credit rescore for him. Got his score up to 600, even though I didn't need to, but I was able to get up to 600. And we got him in at 10% down, and he was able to buy. And that was a $450,000 house. So there's a lot of ways out there. If you get some customers that get turned down, other places, other lenders, have them give me a call. There's a lot more things we can do. The lending's tightening up. A lot of other lenders either closing down or making it harder. They're changing all their guidelines. We haven't done any of that yet. So if you need anything, just give me a call. Office is upstairs. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah. Okay, let's go one at a time. Yes, yes.
What are you seeing for length of the transaction timeline on average, as well as in your experience right now, what they try to market are?
Okay, as far as the new construction, how long is it taking? The renovation loan. Okay, good question. Renovation loans take about 60 days. So if you have, you have to negotiate that. And I'm gonna tell you this, the hardest part about a renovation loan is finding a contractor to give you an estimate and get in. It's the hardest part. No, that's really the conversation you guys have to have because some people think 30 days is a lot now. You know, some people say 60. I mean, if it were me, I would, I would probably be somewhere in between, maybe 45 to 60. Because I mean, before 2020, sitting on the market for 60 days was not that big a deal, Yeah, 120, so it's just now, like I said, if you've gotten in the business in the last 4 years, it's a little bit different. So any other questions about anything? Joe, I know I'm boring you as you're yawning. wh- But I'm gonna put Joe on the spot because this is gonna be coming up a lot next 30 days. And Joe's the only one I've dealt with in the last 10 years who's done this. If you are going to have your buyer pay for part of your commission, make sure you get that sheet signed and make sure you get it to me ASAP because we will calculate everything. And if I say, oh, the customer needs to bring 10,000 when he owes you 2,500 and I didn't know about it, I'm going off of what's in his income. And I'm like, oh, hey, it was only 10,000 and he only has 11,000. Well, he really needs 12,500. If I didn't know about that and you come to me at the last minute, that could either delay a deal or kill it, or you're gonna have to wait till people get money. Joe and I just did one, I think, last month. I've actually done a couple with him in the past that we've done that way. He's always been very good about negotiating it. He's always very good about telling the client. And we've done it to where you give it to me in enough time so we know about it. So that's gonna be a big thing for you guys moving forward in next month. Yes, not when the closing disclosure is being due. One other thing I want to talk about, down payment assistance, seen a lot more of that, okay? For the right person, it's a great deal. North Carolina has some really good down payment assistance, $15,000, but it's not always the best deal, okay? What you have to educate people on that too. And John's gonna get with Rivers, he's gonna do a class in the next month or two. We're gonna do a lunch and learn, and John's gonna do something like that. We had one where North Carolina Housing, they were getting $15,000. Well, North Carolina Housing wouldn't allow it because they had several people living in the house and they had other income. And that's like a USDA. Whoever lives in the house, even if they're not on the loan, we have to calculate their income and they might be out of it. So we switched them to one of our own programs, an in-house program where we give 3.5% for closing. It's basically an FHA loan, 100% loan. He was able to get that deal done. So again, there are some great DPAs out there. But we just have to make sure because with the 15,000, a lot of people don't realize they need to live. They need to live in the house 15 years or they're paying it back, and it literally doesn't start till year 10. At year 11, you pay back 80%, then 60, then 40, and 20. I just did a lady. She's an older lady. She's going to live in that house for the rest of her life. So I felt comfortable with it. But those are conversations you have to have because a lot of times when we do these things, I'll say, they don't realize you can get a gift. They don't realize you can use your 401k. They don't realize you can use your taxes when they come. I have that conversation every year with someone with their taxes. And when it's around that time, we can use that income or use that as assets. So we will do the down payment assistance, but you got to make sure it's the right deal for the right customer. So yes. 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 Well, it's funny you should say that because it depends on when it is. They're about, I don't know, I think I figured it out. They're probably about a month behind. The rate is generally better. However, when the rates go down, and if it goes down in that first month, then the normal rates are better. Because recently they went down to 6.875, then they went up to 7, then they went back down to 6.875. So there's a little lag, but if the rates stay the same for 2 or 3 months, then the rate's usually about a quarter less. So it actually is a really good rate. So that's it. All right. Thank you guys. Let me know if you guys need anything. I appreciate it.